Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started now. The governor is on her way. She should be coming in shortly, but we're going to start the program. It's great to see so many familiar faces gathered here today as we celebrate the 34th Annual Small Business Awards. I'm Chris Cooney, President and CEO of the Metro South Chamber of Commerce, and it's truly a pleasure to be here with you today. Now, as I was reviewing the guest list this morning, it struck me that there's exactly 133 people in this room. The same exact number that are meeting in Rome right now.
Where's the black smoke?
Now, will not be today choosing a pope, but we are honoring two business people who have exemplified, I'd say, honorable and admirable qualities, and you're going to hear more about them. And I think for us, this 133 meeting, I think we should be happy with that. With that said, the only smoke we're going to be seeing today might be coming from the kitchen, but that's only from the talented chefs on purpose and the servers. So let's have a round of applause for them. What we are doing here today, although it's not a conclave, is also meaningful in our own corner of the world. We're recognizing the people behind two extraordinary businesses whose dedication, innovation, and resilience are worthy of this spotlight. These honorees exemplify the very best of our region's entrepreneurial spirit and community values. Massachusetts is home to over 700,000 businesses, making up 99% of the businesses in the state of Massachusetts, and employing nearly half of all private of the workforce. These businesses are the lifeblood of the economy, from tech startups to tradespeople, family-run restaurants to regional service providers. Today's awardees represent that strength and that diversity. We are gathered today not only to celebrate our region's small business success stories, but also to spotlight what makes that success possible and what must happen next to ensure that it endures. Growth is essential. It brings with it more prosperity. It brings opportunity for our children to stay and build careers locally, find housing, for residents to enjoy better schools and amenities, and for our cities and towns to share an expanded commercial tax base, revenue that's important and reinvested in public safety, public spaces, and public services. To support this, we must collaborate across city lines and local departments. And you're going to hear a little about that today. To expand sewer capacity, increase water supply access, and modernize permitting processes in business districts and downtowns and industrial parks specifically. Rich, you might need to kind of just tweak the, I think I got it. It's actually the cable. We got a wireless cable mic here. So, So we talked about through intermunicipal agreements and innovative partnerships, we can unlock parcels of land and revitalize underused areas, creating the conditions that attract biotech labs, logistics firms, clean energy innovators, and other vital industries to our region. It's really important that we start to really think about regionalism and how Brockton and the surrounding towns can further the relationship that's been started, and this mayor has expanded dramatically with intermunicipal agreements with Easton now, with water and sewer, as well as East Bridgewater and almost every surrounding town. Avon's the next big one we need to take care of, as well as secure the desal water as we go forward and it comes up for renewal in 2028. But this all comes down to working together. We can diversify our business base, protect and grow jobs for our residents, and position the Metro South as a model of public and private partnership, both in the state and nationally. So thank you for being here to honor two extraordinary businesses, which you're going to hear more about. They embody the kind of entrepreneurial drive that sustains communities and lifts people up. And as we recognize them, we're also rededicating ourselves to the work of supporting the next generation of risk takers and builders and dreamers and entrepreneurs, which there is tremendous in this generation, tremendous number of, and we need to support. So let's keep going together. Before I introduce our MC today, I would like to remind you of the green sheets in the middle of your table. The governor has agreed to answer some questions. She likes to talk for about 20 minutes and then take 10 minutes questions. If you have a question, please write it on that green sheet, hold it up, an ambassador or a chamber staff member will grab it from you and we'll put it into the queue. It is now my pleasure to introduce our MC for today. Please join me in welcoming the chair of the Chamber's Board of Directors, President of Evans Machine, Dan Evans. For those of you who don't know Dan Evans, Dan is the president and CEO of Evans Machine Company, a Brockton-based business. It began in the basement of his family home 55 years ago. Evans Machine has grown into a 70-person operation within a 45,000 square foot advanced precision machine manufacturing facility right in the heart of Brockton. It serves clients across the United States and throughout the globe. Dan.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you all. And good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to join you on this beautiful spring day, and what a better place to do it in this beautiful golf course at Thorny Lea. We gather here to celebrate Small Business Week, and we're going to honor our entrepreneurial spirit that drives our local economy. Now it's early in the golf season, and which means a lot of you, like me, have to shake some rust off. But unlike in business, your slice, if you slice one into the trees out there, at least it won't hurt your bottom line, unless you're betting on it. But before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to thank our generous sponsor, Eastern Bank, for making this event possible. Your support empowers us to recognize and evaluate remarkable achievements of our small business community. We are also deeply honored to be joined today by a special guest who understands the importance of economic development, innovation, and opportunity for every corner of the Commonwealth. Please join me in welcoming, well, she's not here right now, but we will be welcoming Honorable Maura Healey, Governor of Massachusetts, who she'll be offering remarks soon to come later in the program. And of course, the heart of today's celebration is the recognition of two outstanding businesses, our Small Business of the Year and our Entrepreneur of the Year. These leaders have not only created jobs and fueled growth, they've inspired us all with their creativity, commitment, and contributions to our community. I'll be introducing them also shortly. As we move through today's program, let's remember, small businesses don't just serve our neighborhoods, they shape them. They reflect the character, strength, and determination of our region, and today we celebrate them and take a moment to say thank you. Before we move forward with our awards program, I would like to take a moment to recognize some important people who are here with us today. First, I want to acknowledge the dedicated members of the Metro South Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors who are in attendance. Your leadership, insight, and commitment help guide the direction of this organization and ensure that we continue to serve our business community with strength and purpose. If you're a Chamber Board member, would you please stand so we can recognize you? Rich Hines, Michael Lambert, Sue Joss, Scott Sanborn, Doug Schmidt, thank you. I'd also like to recognize our Chamber ambassadors, led by the Chair, Joanne Snyder, and from Eastern Bank. These are the friendly faces that you often welcome us as we walk into here. They make the connections, they help make our new members feel at home. If you're a Chamber ambassador with us today, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. And finally, we are honored to be joined by several elected and appointed officials who serve our cities, towns, and Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Your partnership is critical to building strong, thriving communities, and we thank you for being here today. Representatives Rita Menendez and Bridget Plouffe, Tim Cruz, Office of Plymouth County District Attorney, Mayor Bob Sullivan, City of Brockton Mayor, former Mayor and City Council President Moses Rodriguez, MOBD Representative Jim Menard, Jimmy Valentine from Senator Mike Brady's office. Greg Hanley, my classmate from college days, Plymouth County Commissioner. And lastly, Assistant Secretary of Business Growth, Naomi Berlin. Thank you all for being part of today's celebration and for the roles you play in strengthening our business environment across our region. It's now my pleasure to introduce Sue Joss, Chair of the Chamber's Government Affairs Division, to interview our premier sponsor, Eastern Bank.
Thanks, Dan. So,
I haven't introduced the people yet.
oh, I was going to wing it and do it. So.
I'm still new to this, Rich. Where is I? Please join in welcoming Bob Rivers and Joe Casey, the CEOs. They are the CEOs of Eastern Bank and Harbor One Bank, respectively. Bob Rivers is Executive Chair and Chair of the Board of Directors of Eastern Bank. Be careful getting up there. The leading SBA small business lender in Massachusetts and the largest bank-owned independent investment advisor in Massachusetts, with roughly $25 billion in assets and approximately 110 locations serving communities in eastern Massachusetts, southern and coastal New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. A 40-year community banker who started his career as a teller at Randolph Savings Bank. He is a graduate of Stonehill College. Most recently, he was appointed to the Federal Reserve's Federal Advisory Council. Congratulations. Joe Casey is President and CEO of Harbor One Bank with over 40 years of experience in banking. He joined the bank in 2004 and became CEO in 2022 after serving in several executive roles. Joe holds a degree in accounting from Bentley University and completed programs at Harvard Business School. Under his leadership, Harbor One has earned an outstanding FDIC rating and launched the Harbor One U and the One Community Scholarship Program, supporting students and businesses throughout eastern Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Please welcome Bob Rivers and Joe Casey.
Thanks again, Dan, and welcome, Bob and Joe. It's great to have you here and exciting to hear about your plans. So, Bob, Eastern Bank has long been known as Massachusetts' oldest and largest locally headquartered bank. With the recent merger announcement with Harbor One, how will the new partnership strengthen Eastern service offerings and support for small businesses across southeastern Mass and Rhode Island, especially here in Brockton?
Sure, and again, thanks, Sue, and Chris, thanks for the opportunity to be here. And the timing couldn't have worked out better. I mean, we had agreed to be the sponsor of this luncheon quite some time ago, and so it was with great pleasure that I reached out to Chris a couple of weeks ago and let him know that we would be partnering with Harbor One, and Joe would be joining me here today, and so we're really thrilled to have this opportunity. As Sue mentioned, you know, I've been around these parts a little bit, so this one is really personal to me, more than any other merger we've done, quite frankly. I grew up in Stoughton, as you heard, went to Stonehill College. I was a commuter without a car, so I took the Brockton area transit from Stoughton Center on a long winding trip. It doesn't go down 138. I asked if it was changing, no. And then an hour later ended up at Stonehill's Union Center. So it's really coming full circle for me here. We entered the market in 2012 with the merger of Community Bank. It was thrilling to come back here and be a part of this community. And then again, to have an extension with Joe's team into Rhode Island. Rhode Island was actually the first place I worked when I graduated from Stonehill College. So this is very much like old home week for me. I will let you know, in the spirit of small business, because small business is a big deal to us at Eastern. We've been the largest SBA lender for 16 years straight here in Massachusetts. So we celebrated all over our different markets in a big way. But the biggest way, and the one that's the best, is at the town spa in Stoughton. Next Tuesday, 5 o'clock. You're all welcome. It's a very short program. The program won't even last as long as I've been speaking right now. It's all about getting together and meeting our small business colleagues and getting to know one another and having the best pizza in the world, no offense, and beer over at the Town Spa. So 5 o'clock next Tuesday, please drop by, no ticket required, and hopefully you can join us then. But Sue, to answer your question, again, we've got a very strong commitment to small business. As you know, as is Harbor One. I mean, this is one of the things that Joe and I personally and then professionally through our organizations have in common. So Joe, you know about, Joe and I have known each other for over a decade. So anything you'd add to that?
Thanks, Bob, and thanks for sharing the spotlight today, since Easton's paying for the bill. I really do appreciate the free lunch. Yeah, the only thing I can add is, you know, Bob is right. We've known each other for a long period of time, and we've been servicing Brockton in particular for a lot of years together, Brockton Partnership. And I was on B21, for those that remember B21 in the days. So we all share a commitment to reinvesting in our communities for sure. And Bob in Easton has made a substantial commitment to further engage in all the communities that Harbor One has serviced for over 100 years. And that has been a big reason why we selected Easton as a partner. So our foundation that reinvests in Brockton and communities in the greater Brockton area is down to about $7 million in assets today, which is not insignificant amount for a bank our size. Easton is contributing in up to $20 million now in assets, focused in our legacy footprint. So that's a commitment that really resonates with us, our employees, our communities, as our employees are also very much involved. Thank you.
So, as you will now have the combined $20 million philanthropic commitment between the two banks, how do you think these funds would definitely be used to support financial literacy, entrepreneurship, business development in our communities?
Well, it's going to cover a number of different areas. So, first of all, as Joe mentioned, we've been a partner with Joe and his team for a while. Through the Brockton Partnership, we worked together on the branding campaign for Brockton, and most recently, we started working together on the revitalization of the Brockton Rocks, which we're very, very excited about. I don't know if any of you have met the new ownership. This ownership team brings experience, brings commitment, and most importantly, brings a lot of dough. This is an owner that is very well resourced to take this franchise and build it. So we're working with him to help build it, and hope all of you will come out to the park and become sponsors and join it as well. It's going to be very, very exciting. Joe and I are throwing out the first pitch next Friday. He's trying to get off easy. He's telling me he's going to be the catcher. So we'll see how that goes.
Knowing how you pitch, that might not be an easy job.
No, it won't be. In fact, if you catch, you're going to have to wear the gear. And the poor Rocks mascot doesn't know it yet. Is that I'm going to have them do sort of a Bull Durham redo. I'm going to give my best Ebi LaLouche delivery and set it up with that mascot. So I don't throw very hard. I'm not even sure if I'll hit it, frankly. So, but we're going to try. So, but to your question, Sue, our foundation at Eastern is $250 million, and it focuses on a number of different areas. We support over 1,500 nonprofits every year. We focus our largest grants on issues of economic inclusion and mobility in 4 pillars, if you will. One is entrepreneurship, really focused on underrepresented businesses in our communities. We have a long track record of that. Safe and affordable housing, much like Harbor One, that's partnered with John and with Rob and others here in the housing space. We have a deep commitment to helping to build affordable workforce housing here in our market. It's so desperately needed. Another one of those area of focus is early child care and education. And that's something that we've been investing millions in for quite some time and have received tremendous support from the Healey-Driscoll administration, ensuring standing that up with significant resources, the most significant resources the state has put towards early child care and education in maybe forever. So, now you notice I got to that third pillar because I could see the governor out of the corner of my eye. So, and then the last one is one that we're just building out that we're very excited about. It's under workforce development, and it's focused on vocational ESOL. So we've recently committed $10 million to stand up a program and build a program to help people access higher paying jobs when, in many cases, they are highly educated, they can do the job, they just don't speak the English language, and that keeps them underemployed. So it's significant, and all of that $20 million will be allocated to those areas and more. And I know Joe will have ideas. I mean, Harbor One U is something that we have admired for a long time. We have a financial literacy program at our bank, which is much like every other bank. It's fine, right? We do it through our folks in the field. What Harbor One has done is extraordinary. And Joe, maybe you could tell everyone about it.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah, we have Jen White here from Harbor One, who leads the charge and does an outstanding job as head of our foundation. And we started up Harbor One after the financial crisis. Frankly, we were the largest lender in Brockton for a lot of years. And going up to the financial crisis, we were not. We were losing business to others. And we were questioning why we were losing business to others. And it turned out, if you remember those days, they were unfortunately shady characters that were originating loans that people could not afford, but they were getting the commissions off of those loans, and that's all they really worried about. So once that came to light, we said we have to do something here from a financial literacy standpoint, making sure that people in our communities, these are not customers, this is open to the public, right? Anybody in our communities, it started in downtown Brockton, can come in, and we've taught financial literacy, English as a second language, we help people do their taxes, basic things like that, so they would not be duped in the future. And it turned out that it was so successful, and we tracked participants. We ended up attracting a lot of those participants to be customers of ours. That wasn't the intention going into it, but a happy benefit from all that education. But it was so successful. We looked to replicate it in another community, which we have done, but that one is focused more on the business community, because that community, we saw a need for more financial education and entrepreneurship in small businesses. So we continue to be excited about the opportunity to invest more dollars in our communities with Easton's help. So thank you, Bob.
So Harbor One U is a national model. There is no financial services company in America that has such a robust program for consumers and for small businesses, and we intend to invest in that heavily across our footprint.
Awesome, thanks, Bob. So with the economies of scale resulting from the merger, how will customers, particularly small businesses, benefit in terms of access to credit, competitive pricing, and enhanced customer service?
Well, this is a scale business, and this is why you see so many bank mergers. The margins are thin, and the fixed costs are high, and they're getting higher all the time. And really what drives those costs is technology. Not just the digital tools we all use, but cyber defenses, which are, it's the great existential threat. I think of the great existential threat to humanity is climate change. The great existential threat to banking is cybercrime. So those costs require to be at a certain size to be able to deliver products and services to the client. And we were here last night with about the same number of our soon-to-be new colleagues at Harbor One, the officer team in this room. And we were talking just about this in terms of the importance of size. And the importance of size is able to have that ability, that bandwidth, to provide products in more places, through more people, in a greater specialized way, which provides more growth opportunities that our employees are with us. So we think this could be a tremendous benefit. As I mentioned, we take great pride in being the #1 small business lender in Massachusetts, and Harbor One leans into that very heavily too. So together, we're going to be able to increase that availability of credit in these markets.
Let me just give you some numbers, help you understand the scale difference here, right? So we're roughly $5 billion in assets. Easton's $25 billion in assets. Combined, we will be the largest community bank headquartered in Boston, in Massachusetts. Fighting for #3 deposit market share with Santander, only $1 billion ahead of us, right? So the combination is fantastic from that standpoint, and the economies that can be generated by scale are really pronounced. And the benefits for our customers primarily would be going from 30 retail branch locations to now well over 100 throughout the state. And access to credit, the larger credit limits that the larger bank provides our customers now, they don't have to participate out or turn customers away that are too successful and grow beyond our needs. So that is tremendous as well. And Easton has a legacy of supporting the business community. Our history has primarily been a consumer bank, a consumer credit union for a lot of years. So we've been trying to change successfully, I think, over the last 15 years or so into a more contemporary commercial bank. Easton certainly accelerates that process. So there'll be, for Harbor One's customers, more products and services availability. I gave an example last night that I'm a beneficiary of. We don't offer foreign currency at any of Harbor One's locations. Easton does. So that's just one little feature of joining Easton is a benefit for all of our customers.
Well, thank you both so much for sharing the exciting news about your upcoming merger and the plans going along with that. This is really exciting for our region. We do have pens that you're probably sitting on. Oh, there you go. As a token of our thank you. And thank you both for all you're doing for our community. And I'd like to invite back up our Chair, Dan Evans.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Bob, and thank you, Sue, for all you do for us. One quick thing I want to pipe in. We have a representative of the Rocks here with us right now, I'm told. Liam O'Sullivan, pitched 10 years with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Where are you, Liam? Thank you. Thank you for helping us move forward. All right. I'm now pleased to introduce our keynote speaker for today's event, Governor Maura Healey. Maura Healey is the governor of Massachusetts. In 2022, she became the state's first woman elected to this position. Governor Healey has delivered on key promises to help Massachusetts become a leader in clean energy, a more affordable and equitable place to live, and a great place for businesses to operate. On her first day in office, Governor Healey appointed the nation's first cabinet-level climate chief and created the Office of Climate Innovation and Resilience to coordinate policies across all of state government. Governor Healey has also prioritized education and workforce development with free community college for Massachusetts residents. Thank you. And career apprenticeships accessible to more students and workers. The governor has delivered on her promise to make Massachusetts more affordable by cutting taxes for the first time in 20 years, including the most generous child and family tax credit in the country. She filed and signed the $5 billion Affordable Homes Act, the state's largest ever housing investment to create tens of thousands of homes at lower cost. and the $4 billion Mass Leads Act to invest in Massachusetts businesses, create good jobs, and keep the state's innovation economy as the best in the world. She attended Harvard College, where she captained the basketball team, and then spent 2 years as a starting point guard on a professional basketball team in Austria. For much of her career, she's been the only woman in the room and has taken every opportunity to elevate other women. She is a passionate advocate for legal rights, women's health, women's equality in general, and especially in sports. Governor Healey lives in Arlington, Massachusetts, with her partner, Joanna Lidgate. Please join me in welcoming Maura Healey.
Thank you. Thanks, Dan. It's great to see you. It's great to be here. Great to be here in Brockton. Mr. Mayor, thank you. Thank you for, Dan, I got the memo. You got the tie. I got the dress, or channeling the Celtics to get it together. Obviously, I'm a point guard, so I have a view. Okay. But it also, I mean, it's Metro South. So here we go. Thank you for your leadership, Dan, and also what you do. You know, as a business owner and leader in the community, working hard to employ people, working hard to create economic opportunity. It's great, and thank you to the board across the board. Sue, nice to see you. You don't have it easy, you know. Healthcare, it's a challenge for everybody, and those running healthcare, it's a challenge. Appreciate my visits to the health center and all that you do, but honestly, to all board members, I appreciate it. To Chris, 27 years. You haven't changed a bit. And also 35 years serving local communities and local businesses. It's awesome. It's awesome. To our council president, Rodriguez, lovely to see you. Thank you for the work that you and members of the council do. I don't know who else we have in the room. We have our wonderful partners from the legislature who bring everything home to Metro South. And we have Representative Rita Mendez, Representative Michelle Dubois, and Representative Bridget Plouffe here today, at least. Thank you, guys. I'm going through your budget right now, having a look. Yes. Yeah, all your stuff. To Bob. Great to see Bob Rivers, and I really enjoyed the bit of the conversation that I caught with Bob and Joe. It's an awesome partnership, and you heard the great things that are going to come as a result of the relationship between Eastern and Harbor One. You know, this is where the rubber meets the road. Especially in this time, the more that we have that kind of focus on communities and our Main Street businesses and our small businesses, and making that work is just so key. And I appreciate too the programming that you're offering. I know you talked about ESL and how important that is to our workforce and our economy, Bob. So really appreciate you as a leader, and to you and to Joe, wishing you all the best in what's to come there. Congratulations. Speaking of small businesses, our entrepreneurs, I know we're celebrating entrepreneurs who are receiving awards today. Dr. Ellis Perez Miranda, congratulations to you. And where's Michael Cardoza? All right, cool. I don't understand your technology. I just know you make this at RevT. It's cool. Glad you make it. Glad you're successful. You represent the kind of innovation that our state's known for. Did you know the rankings came out recently? And Massachusetts, we're #1 for education, #1 in healthcare, #1 in innovation. #1 in innovation. And we were also the state ranked with the safest drinking water. I'll talk about sewer later, but safest drinking water, safest state too. I want you to know that. Lowest gun deaths in the country, lowest vehicular deaths in the country, 3rd lowest property crimes. We were ranked the best state to have a baby in, to raise a family, to live if you're a woman. We've got challenges though. I'm happy, you know them. High costs, housing, transportation. These are all things we got to work on every single day. but I love my job and I feel incredibly privileged to be governor of this great state and to have the opportunity to work with local leaders, state leaders, leaders in community, in business and industry, to make a better way for our residents. I also want to applaud all of you for the investments and the growth right here. I look around and I see the Energy Group opening up a service center in Brockton. We have new branches opening. We'll give some love to some other banks too, though it's all Eastern and Harbor One today. Okay, but we also have some other bank branches opening. Am I going to get in trouble for saying this? Rockland Federal Credit Union, Bank of America, South Shore Bank, also opening some branches. Food industry, Mi Niña. I didn't realize Mi Niña is right out of here, you know? Like, we invented volleyball and basketball and a whole bunch of stuff, and Mi Niña, which is just crushing it in the food industry. The Shaw's Conference Center and Campanelli Stadium, right? Just to name it's exciting with the upgrades that are there. The Rocks, right? Back. It's awesome. Which is, fun. As a former athlete, I am all in for sports. Sports are awesome. They bring a lot in terms of enjoyment and excitement, and take your kids to the game. But, it's economic impact, too. That's real. Also, who's in the room here? Is Dia Cruz in the room here, my former colleague? Hey, Mr. District Attorney. Hi. It's nice to see you. The new public safety complex opening up in Brockton. So, we need more public safety complexes around the state, because a lot of them are just not in good condition, and we need to fix that. But I'm really glad that Brockton has this one opening. So, let me. By the way, that's a beautiful course out there. I haven't golfed in like 3 years because of this job, I guess. But I know I like to. Some people in these jobs find time to golf. I don't know how that works out. It is not working out for me, though. Jesus. So let me talk a little bit about the partnership, because my job as governor and the work of the lieutenant governor, who's fabulous. Y'all met Kim Driscoll? Yes. Awesome teammate. We view our job as that of making sure the things that government is supposed to do that nobody else can do get done, and get done competently and well. And the other job is making sure that we're the partner. We're the partner to businesses, we're the partner to local communities, that we're about driving economic growth and opportunity in the state. And we do that together in partnership with all of you. We also do that by giving out money, which people like, and thank you to the legislature for supporting this through the budget. As an administration, we've been able to make investments in economic development and infrastructure and in housing. And over the last 2 years, I'm proud that communities that make up this great Metro South Chamber of Commerce have received almost $14 million in One Stop for Growth grants, which is great. 38 grants have gone out to communities here in the last 2 years. They range from road and park design at the former CSX railroad site in Brockton to the Stoughton train depot, and more. And that's, just a few examples, but the point is we want to continue to make these investments and make smart investments in our communities. Partnership is really our greatest strength. I'll tell you a little bit about where my head's at in terms of the times right now. Every day, I bragged about Massachusetts, right? There's a lot of, by the way, I just came from Plymouth. Great town. It takes like 3 hours to travel through Plymouth because it's 100 square miles or 100,000 square miles. It's a great place, though. It's a place where a lot of older residents, and I just signed an executive order to make Massachusetts the most age-friendly state in the country. So that as we're thinking about, housing, transportation, infrastructure, we've got it as a lens through agencies, thinking about our older residents, who only get better, by the way. Older, wiser, every day. They're awesome. So I signed this executive order, and it was just great to see like the vibrancy there. I bragged, and the reason I say that is because we actually you're not going to believe this, We beat Florida. More people come to Massachusetts for retirement than Florida. I know you don't believe it, but in terms of age friendly, like we have health care, like there's some stuff going on here that, people want. It's not to say Florida isn't great, and we don't always have the weather, but I just want you to know that, like that's a real statistic. So we're gonna continue to work on things. I think the biggest challenge we face as a state right now is high costs, okay? Because while we're number one across so many metrics, at the end of the day, none of that matters if people can't afford rent, if they can't afford a home, if people who, graduate, whether it's from high school or community college or college, who grew up here can't afford to stay here, if our businesses, small, medium, and large, can't afford to attract and retain talent. I'm a kid who grew up in New Hampshire. My folks are from Newburyport. Don't hold that against me. I was a North Shore kid. I didn't know God's country until later in life. But, I grew up on the New Hampshire border, and what I want to fight for every day is to make sure we're keeping residents here, and that we're growing here, and that we're expanding here, and that people aren't, going to other places. So number one issue is cost. It's why I'm the first governor in 20 years to cut taxes in this state. People might say I didn't cut enough, but we made some serious cuts. We're focused on building housing. That's why I filed and signed a $5 billion housing bill, bond bill, money to get it out the door to incent development. I'm the first governor to actually tally what we need in terms of housing. It turns out we need a ton of housing. 220,000 units. We weren't building, we needed to build. So I've got a thermometer going every day. Just was in Littleton the other day, 1,100 units online. I was down in Plymouth a little while ago. That's several hundred units online every day. Through that legislation, we've got ADUs. We've got all sorts of incentives. I think that in gateway cities alone, with a tax credit for workforce housing, like the great city of Champions, we I think just in that program alone, this is a tax credit for developers who build housing in gateway cities. In just 18 months, we've increased production by 600%, okay? So I think smart policy, intentionality, you can get this done. We've got 129 communities that have already said yes to the MBTA Communities Act, and these districts have added another 4,000 units to the pipeline. So I still got a ways to go to get to 220, but every day that's what we're working on, and I know how important that is to the future of the state. You want it for your kids, you want it for yourselves, right? You need it for your businesses, we need it for our economy. So driving down costs, job one, and that starts with building housing. The other thing is making sure that we're making smart investments. Investments in education. You can spend a ton of money on education and it won't do a damn thing in terms of moving the needle, okay? So what's smart investments? Smart investments, we came in and looked at what was going on in high school. High school's changed from the time, I'm class of 88. I don't know where people are in this room, but things are very different. But some things haven't changed when it comes to how we approach high school and what's taught. We want kids graduating from high school with the skills they need. By the way, financial literacy should be mandatory. Every kid. I feel strongly about this. I feel like every kid in the state should get civics education and should get financial literacy. We owe that to our kids. We looked at what was going on and we decided we were going to lean into career training. I went to Northeastern for law school, and we had the co-op program. And this idea that you could learn in classrooms and go out and work in business, alongside, let's bring that to the high school so that kids get exposure working with employers. Because if you want to work in advanced manufacturing, or if you want to work in clean energy, we've created these things called career pathways in high schools all around the state so that you're getting that. It may be in life sciences. You may be growing like cultures and stuff. I've visited a bunch of these places. It's amazing what our young people are doing. But it prepares them for their next chapter in life. We're increasing the number of vocational seats and opportunities. That's important. You mentioned the community college. When I was shocked by this, but when I became governor, I was told that we had about 700,000 people in the state who graduated from high school, maybe had some credit or two towards a higher degree, but for some reason had to drop out, couldn't afford it, right? And you basically had people who were not sitting on the sidelines because they're hustling, they're working jobs, multiple jobs, but just never had that opportunity to get that certification or credential or degree that would set them and their families up for greater economic opportunity. So, since we made community college free, we've seen enrollment through the roof, and we, as a result, have a much more ready workforce. We just need to be able to ensure now that employers can afford to hire that workforce. That's another story. But that's where we need to go as a state. I was with the CEO of IBM the other morning, and he and I were talking, and Massachusetts is still the #2 place in the world for IBM workers. And I was like, what's Massachusetts? And he said, there's no state in the country that's better educated, that has a better prepared workforce for the work that they do. Now, the work that they do is different from what Evans does, is different from, you name the company. I want to see everybody trained up across all the lanes, right? So that we have a killer kick-ass workforce prepared and ready to go to meet the needs of employers in our community. I'll say something about transportation. It's kind of a mess. Trains were on fire when I started. It was quite interesting. But I always try to hire people and work with people way smarter than me. So I found a guy. He's from New York. It's okay. And he is a transportation expert and an engineer, and his name's Phil Ang. And I said, come to town, okay? Because we got to get the T and the commuter rail up to where they need to be, where our employers need it, where our residents need it, where our economy needs it. And in just a couple of years, Phil has made a big difference. We've got no slow zones. They've been taken away. We've got more tracks repaired, in better shape, trains running on time. We opened up the commuter rail to Fall River in New Bedford. I'm glad about that. We've gotten things moving again. And also, without raising taxes, I proposed a plan to spend $8 billion over the next 10 years in transportation funding so that we can fix bridges, fix our roads, improve traffic, get rid of congestion. As somebody who spends a lot of time on the roads, I feel people's pain. I really, really do. And there are things that we just got to do. And we just haven't, as a state, made the kind of investment that we've needed to make to have the transportation system that we need. And that includes, I just want to emphasize, improving commuter rail frequency, improving local bus service. We were at the Brockton terminal not too long ago because we're putting more money into regional buses, fare free. It pays off. And, this is how we connect people with jobs, with school, with housing, and so much more. It's one train and bus and roadway at a time. I won't say anything about bike lanes. I'm not in charge of bike lanes. So we're in this moment, and now I really will close. We're in this moment of challenge, of a lot of uncertainty. I've had multiple meetings with businesses to talk about some of what's happening, to talk about the impact of tariffs, which are working for some and are not working for a whole lot of people. I just reached out, I organized the New England governors and the New York governor to bring all the Canadian governors actually to Massachusetts, because we've got economic, cultural, and familial ties, and I want that relationship to continue. So, I can't control what the federal administration is going to do. I can advocate, and we can talk about, what's happening and what our businesses need and what our state economies need. But in the meantime, we've got to work together like never before to take care of our own, okay? I'm going to be facing a budget whenever I get it back. There's going to be some hard decisions, but we're going to focus on some of the most vulnerable among us, and the people that really, really have some basic needs. And we're going to try to make the smartest investment so that we're maximizing your taxpayer dollars in the time ahead. That's going to be the approach. And I continue to say I'll work with the administration wherever I can, and I'll advocate where I need to stand up, and I've been speaking out a lot about the cuts to science and to medical research. We've had people laid off who are actually pioneering and studying cures for cancer and Alzheimer's and ALS. I met with the China consulate the other day, in part because China's on our campuses right now. UMass, I was out there the other day, looking to recruit talent away because their funding streams are being cut. And as a knowledge-based economy and as a state that is really, for the last 250 years, we've been about like evolution and evolving, right? And that's come by way of investments in science and technology. And so we need to protect that, and that's what I'm trying to do as your governor. But thank you for the opportunity to be here. Know that Kim and I are a call away. We really do have a great team in the office of people who are well-intentioned about wanting to serve, and work in partnership. It's all about teamwork. So keep the calls coming, and know that I firmly believe, that this is a state where we can do amazing things. A couple weeks ago, I stood on the battlefield in Lexington. It's actually a lovely town green now. It's not a battlefield anymore. And then I did another event over in Concord by Old North Bridge. And it was to celebrate the birthplace of America, I give a hard time to the governors in Pennsylvania and Virginia. I was like, whatever, guys, we are where this whole country began. We kicked off this whole American experiment. And it took an effort by a bunch of farmers and tradesmen and, people who maybe didn't have the best odds perceived if there was a line at the time. And nevertheless, we know what happened, right? So I know we're capable of doing great things, and we're a place of great people and great resilience. And I really appreciate the work that each of you do day in and day out to drive this economy, to drive opportunity, to drive prosperity for everyone in our state. Thank you.
Hello. So the last time I interviewed you, it was a chamber event and you were the Attorney General. So it's nice to have a rerun of seeing you again. This is great. So questions to the chamber staff, if you want to hold up your hands if you have questions to be picked up. Right now I only have 3, so if I don't get more, what? Is that better?
That's better.
Okay. So if I don't get more questions, we'll talk about community health centers for 10 minutes. Yeah, there you go. So first question is, in light of the federal administration's recent economic policy, how is Massachusetts responding to ensure the state's businesses, and particularly small and emerging enterprises, remain resilient and competitive?
Yeah. I think probably beginning 4 months ago, I've been regularly convening with business. And business, large, medium, small, different parts of the state, some of our more rural areas, as well as our urban centers. Massachusetts is a state, it's, in many ways it's a microcosm of this country. We've got rural communities, we've got a variety of sectors, everything from life sciences to technology to advanced manufacturing and so much more. And the point of it was to understand what was happening. That was the first thing. I just needed to know what was happening out there real time. And based on that, we did something through economic development. We set up something called TURBO, and what TURBO stands for, it doesn't matter what it stands for. It does stand for something. The Tariff Response and Business Operations Support Initiative. That's why we call it TURBO. But basically, we were like, we've got to stand up something so that there's a portal you can go to, okay? This portal that we set up through Mass Tech Collaborative, and basically, you can check out what's available in terms of resources and support right now. It's also a place where you can tell us about how things are affecting you, because I will be a better advocate for our state and be a better advocate working with our delegation and other governors when we know the information about what's happening and why things make sense to do or may not make sense to do. And so that is something that I wanted to recommend to you Turbo. You can go on there, tell us what's happening, but also see what we're doing as a state and ways that maybe you can connect in with some of the resources that are there, but you may not know about. But now in this time of challenge, you need to know about, because I really want to make sure everybody's taking advantage of all the programs that we have. I think we had it was just interesting. I'm looking at the stats because we talked to about 100 manufacturers in Massachusetts alone, and over 70% of these manufacturers had fewer than 50 employees. 90% of them were impacted or expected to be impacted by tariffs within the first 6 months. We're almost up to that. And when I say impacted, the 90% were saying not in a great way, because many were getting materials from China. Also, 2/3 are exporters, and about 1/3 of those are exporting goods to Canada. And so, it's just been really important to understand what's happening. And that just compels us as an administration to do everything that we can to make it easier for you. I know every governor says that, right? Permitting reform, get rid of regulations, barriers, blah, 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 speed things up, licensing. But I really mean it. I had an experience of 2 weeks ago. I went into a hair salon, and I was talking to the stylist who opened the place, and she told me that she had to pay rent for 2 months before she could open. She was ready, but she had to pay rent for 2 months before she could open because the inspection hadn't happened. And that's just because there are 2 people inspecting a whole region. And what we should do is you could let people open, right? And then give a grace period for that inspection to take place. Or maybe we actually need to hire more inspectors. Or maybe we need to give reciprocity. If the city's inspected, that's good enough. But what I am doing, and I think what we need to do as a team across the administration, is challenge ourselves. I don't agree with so much of what Elon Musk has done and Doge. It's been so harmful and detrimental, so much of it. First weekend they were cutting veteran services and the like. That said, there is a point to disruption and doing things in a different way and forcing that. And I think, given what we're dealing with, Sue, we've got to, as an administration, lead with that. We cannot do things the way they've always been done. And I also said to the teams across that entire agency, go out and come back to me with the 3 things that you're going to change. And I want that to be informed by having real conversations with end users, like the hairstylist, okay? There's just stuff we need to do, and some of it's big and some of it's small, but even small stuff is meaningful to somebody in terms of their aggravation or the cost of doing business. But that's the mentality that we've got to have right now. Oh, yeah.
Thanks. Lots of good points there, thank you. Can you talk a little bit about unemployment insurance and specifically the deficit in that?
Yeah. Well, this was kind of a surprise. I got hit with a bill, or I got hit a few months into office with a bill that was incurred under the prior administration, where there had been something was not done right in terms of the way the state was paying out unemployment insurance, and we were hit with a $3 billion bill, and I was like, well, you can imagine what I was like. So I went to work. We have a wonderful new Secretary of Labor and Workforce Development and a team there that's working very hard. We have a new system actually that just got implemented last week. But I worked over the last 2 years with the Biden administration to negotiate that deficit down to just under $2 billion, and we'll have to work from there. What I can tell you is that I know that the UI system hasn't worked, and that we're running out of money in it. It hasn't worked for employers. It hasn't worked for the business community. And this is not news to anybody. Kim and I are a team, though, that you may not like what we do, but we are not about kicking the can down the road, okay? And so what we did is we said we're gonna actually convene a meaningful stakeholder task force on this, figure out what we gotta do. We're running out of time on it, and I know businesses need relief, they need certainty, and there's the UI issue alongside healthcare rates, which you saw huge increases last year, and they're not going to be any less this year. So you guys are getting pinched like never before, which is why we have to be better than ever before in terms of working directly with the business community, whether it's on what we come up with and work with the legislators on. Josh Cutler, by the way, is now in my office, and it's a benefit to have him within Labor and Workforce Development as we think through, the work we need to do with the employer community, with the legislature on the UI issue.
Thank you. This looks like a Chris Cooney question. It's
It's the last one, so you can.
Oh, all right. The Metro South region is leading the way with vitally important intermunicipal agreements that enhance competitiveness. For example, sewer and water sharing between Brockton, East, and Whitman, Abington, and East Bridgewater unlocks development sites and supports job growth. These agreements allow for the highest and best use of commercial corridors and industrial parks. They also generate jobs, shared revenue, reduced capital costs, and foster trust. When municipalities collaborate, the whole region rises. Can we count on continued state support for regional economic development organizations and chambers of commerce?
Oh my God, absolutely. Absolutely. We love our chambers, and we love the work that's done between and among and across communities when it comes to business and economic development. And so, I think about that program you referenced there, sort of, it's that was it was a $500,000 grant given out to Avon, but it was to connect the Avon sewage system to Stoughton's sewer system, and it's a big deal. That's I know such an important part of development, that kind of infrastructure. And so we recognize that, and we're going to continue to find ways through the Mass Leads Act, which was a transformative economic development bill that our team worked very hard on with the legislature. We filed that. We're going to continue to get that money out the door. Same with housing and money coming out of mass development. It's interesting. I was in Littleton the other day. We won't talk about that chamber, but I was in Littleton, Massachusetts the other day, and I was on a site that first was given life during the Baker-Polito administration, to give them credit for giving money out to get this big housing development, mixed-use thing started on the old on an old IBM site. And then when we came in, my contribution was we gave the grant for sewer infrastructure, and and Lori Trahan did too, from the congressional delegation. And it may not be as sexy as the first dollars, but if you don't get sewer, it's not happening. Sewer, water, utilities. It's also why I went out and recruited somebody from National Grid to my energy team, because so many people have problems with energy hookups, and the utilities and the time it takes. So I wanted somebody from the industry who could come in and help us work directly with chambers, with business organizations, and with actual employers who want to build, or housing developers who want to build, but we need to expedite, the utility hookup. So that's a little bit of the mentality. And you know how I use chambers too, Chris, is like, you guys can actually help us triage and be like, no, this is, they're great, they're 5 great ideas, but here are the 2 that really are going to be game changers, and that better than anybody, because you're right in the thick of it.
Thank you. Are we at time, Chris? Okay. So, Governor Healey, thank you so much. Chris says, thank you so much for everything you do and supporting the state.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you again, Sue. Well, as I look outside, I see some white smoke. Like the 133 assembled in Rome, We are the 130 that we're here. I've been informed that the white smoke is up. So the greatness of that is that we are about to introduce our winners. We're pleased to celebrate the business achievement in the presentation of the 2025 Entrepreneur and Small Business of the Year Awards. We want to thank all those who submitted nominations for these awards. We had a number of very strong candidates, making this year's decision even more difficult. The nominating committee looked for companies that balance success and commitment to the community, and each nominee was rated on 5 different areas: the number and scope of employees, the staying power, growth, social responsibility, innovation in their process and/or product. To meet just a few of these criteria is a significant accomplishment. Now, to tee up our awards presentation, I asked the following foursome: Governor Maura Healey, who has gone? Oh. Mayor Bob Sullivan, Eastern Bank CEO Rob Rivers, and Chamber President Chris Cooney to please join me on stage. The Entrepreneur of the Year Award recognizes innovative individuals whose businesses have grown through their commitment to their customers, their product, and their community. As part of the Chamber's annual Small Business Awards program, celebrated during National Small Business Week, the Metro South Chamber and Eastern Bank are proud to honor remarkable entrepreneur whose vision, creativity, and commitment to the community have set a powerful example to us all. It is my great pleasure to introduce this year's Entrepreneur of the Year Award recipient, Dr. Ellie Paris, Social Bookstore and Ice Cream Cafe. She is located in the heart of downtown Brockton at 278 Main Street. Definitely stop in. The Dr. Ellie Paris Social Bookstore and Ice Cream Cafe is much more than a place to grab a good book or a delicious treat. It is the embodiment of entrepreneurship as a force of positive change. Founded by Dr. Ellie Paris Miranda, a Cape Verdean immigrant, community leader, and entrepreneurship professor at Wheaton College, this vibrant cafe has, in less than a year, since its November 2024 opening, become a beacon of literacy, education, and economic empowerment. Inside this cozy and welcoming space, visitors enjoy a diverse selection of books, including the works by local authors and titles that promise financial literacy and economic justice, all while savoring handcrafted ice cream, waffles, crepes, and multicultural snacks inspired by Dr. Paris Miranda's own heritage. But what truly sets this business apart is its mission: to create a community hub where education, entrepreneurship, and opportunity meet. Through events focused on business development, home ownership, and building personal and professional networks, the Dr. Ellie Paris Social Bookstore and Ice Cream Cafe is nurturing the dreams of a new generation of paving the way toward greater economic mobility. In everything she does, Dr. Paris Miranda exemplifies the spirit of entrepreneurship, innovation with a purpose, success rooted in service, and growth fueled by giving back. Please join me in congratulating the 2025 Metro South Chamber of Commerce Entrepreneur of the Year. Dr. Paris, would you like to say a word?
Absolutely.
All right.
As a great researcher, I have a little note. Wonderful. The truth is this. for the grand opening of the bookstore, which is the first of its kind social impact bookstore and ice cream cafe that aims at fostering literacy, education, and upward economic mobility, one book, one scoop, and one community at a time. I actually borrow Metro South Chamber of Commerce very fancy scissors and ribbon. At the time, I couldn't yet afford their almost $400 membership. And the truth, this is the reality of so many micro, small business across the US. My family and I had bootstrapped to open our bookstore with our very, very small savings and my very modest, still college professor salary. But Chris and his incredible team didn't hesitate to let me borrow it. Thus, I could not but first and foremost thank Chris, where are you? And his entire team at the Chamber for leading with empathy, supporting and uplifting small and micro business like myself, who are extremely brave, very brave, to chase their very own version of American dream. Thank you, Chris. I was surprised, extremely humbled, and honored to receive this award, especially when I reflect on my own journey. My mother had me at 17 only because she ran away from a scheduled abortion. Her courage gave me life, and this award is for her and for all the sacrifice she made so I could pursue my PhD. I started teaching at the university at 24, 25, often mistaken for a student because I still look like 15, 18. And here I am 15 years later, still looking 24. And I couldn't be more grateful, extremely grateful for the transformative power of education and all the opportunities I have been granted. I also dedicate this recognition to the entrepreneurs across the US who are quietly struggling, to those asking, will a customer walk in today? And to those who, like me, dream to be not only the next Starbucks, but the very first Dr. Ellie Paris social bookstore and ice cream cafe in every community in America, and to those who open, unfortunately, their doors with hope and had to close them in heartbreak. Since we are very familiar of the data, and me being a researcher, we know that 20% of small business fell within their very first year, and nearly half by year 5. Most often is due, yes, to the lack of capital, support, and technical skills. I am extremely fortunate to be a little smart and to have earned an MBA and a PhD. And to be quite honest, I feel the responsibility to pay that knowledge forward. Guys, I am so in love with entrepreneurship that I wrote my entire PhD on entrepreneurship, social capital, and gender politics, like how women, minority communities, and low-income communities across America can tap into the power of entrepreneurship to reinvent our narratives and our lives. I did that. I also want to thank my family, my lovely husband, my sister, my uncle, who is the best any man, any niece could have ever asked for, especially when you open a bookstore without money. My dear friend, Dr. Red from Wheaton College, my Brockton community, so many customers here, I see you. I want to tell you that I am extremely grateful for your support, more than you will ever know. I also want to thank my Easter Bank here, yes, for taking the calls every time I am bothering them to refund my overdraft. I really mean it, to pay the bills because my next overnight payment is running behind. I also want to thank Honorable Mayor Sullivan for being always so supportive from day one, Councilor Rodriguez, and the entire Brockton community. You guys make dreamers be champions. And lastly, I want to thank Governor Healey for the visionary and inclusive leadership. You are paving the way for education, economic mobility, equitable entrepreneurship, but also for women's representation. May we continue to champion America, one book, one scoop, and one community at a time. I'll see you guys at the bookstore.
Thank you, Dr. Paris. That was a fantastic story and continued success.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on. The Small Business of the Year Award recognizes business leadership, which has fostered innovation, company growth, and created new jobs while contributing positively to the greater community. This year, Metro South Chamber of Commerce and Eastern Bank are pleased to present the Small Business of the Year Award to REnVisioning Technology, also known as RevT, headquartered in Canton, Massachusetts. Founded in 2016 by Harvard University-employed AV professionals Michael Cardoza and Broderick Flannery, RevT began with a simple but powerful idea, making audio-visual system integration easier and more effective for users. What started with online sales of HDMI adapter rings has evolved into a full-service AV systems integration company serving clients across New England. Today, RevT designs, installs, and supports cutting-edge technologies, from conference rooms and classrooms to broadcast studios and theaters. Their expertise includes audiovisual systems, collaboration tools, entertainment technologies, and digital signage, helping businesses, schools, and organizations communicate and perform at their best. With a talented leadership team, deep industry experience, and certifications from Avixa and Crestron, RevT has built a strong reputation for excellence, responsiveness, and client-centered service. What's truly remarkable is their journey growing from a startup operating in a condominium to establishing a full-size and experience center in Canton in 2019. Proof that a clear vision, technical expertise, and dedication to customer success can drive tremendous growth. Please join me in congratulating our 2025 Small Business of the Year, REnVisioning Technology, RevT, and its outstanding leadership team, Michael Cardoza, Broderick Flannery, and David Leonard. Here to accept the award is Michael Cardoza.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. I'm going to take a quick photo. Sure.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike. So normally I'm behind the scenes, not standing up here. So we'll see how this goes. I'm going back to my high school days of when I was in show choir. That's what I'm picturing right now. So as you'll see here, starting a small business is always fun because you got to take a look at my picture. I have a lot more hair up here. It's gone. Never coming back. But as he mentioned, and thank you, we started in 2016. We started in a condo in Braintree, and in that condo, we decided to sell some Amazon cables, some cables on Amazon, and adapter rings. Our goal was to build capital, because Broderick and I were walking through Costco one day, going, you know what, the vendors we're using at work right now, why are they doing this? Our conference rooms just don't work. Why do I have to call IT? Why are we getting called all the time? I went home, talked to my husband, and said, is it okay if I start a business? I come from a family of entrepreneurs. He kind of knew it was going to happen sooner or later. And he said, let's do it. Broderick and I have a chat in the condo, start Amazon to build capital. Once we were able to build capital, we were able to leave Harvard University. We're in their IT department at the time. And I am so happy that Harvard was able to support us throughout the whole process. They were actually our first client that we did an installation at. They asked me to leave early on my last day. I was like, oh no, this isn't good. But then they were like, come back in an hour and we're gonna talk about some projects. And that's exactly what we did. So I can't thank Harvard enough. And another special shout out to Northeastern Savings Bank and Dan Trout. They've been with us through the whole thing. Broderick and I went to Dan probably about a year in, going, hey, we're doing all this on credit cards. Interest rates, yeah, not cool. So we worked with Dan. Dan was able to see our vision of simplifying that conference room. Whether it's conference room, classroom, boardroom, it needs to work for you. You shouldn't have to work to use the technology, right? So walk into that room, say, hey, start my meeting. Boom, you're in your conference call. Walk into the room, plug in your laptop. It all turns on, right? We do this every day, all day. We're thrilled with it. I'm sure you all hate it. So when you walk into a conference room and it doesn't work, call us. We're here. If you're working within the state, guess what? 2021, we're actually on state contract. So that was a huge win for us. We're on state contract OFF 50. We're just continuing to grow over time, and we're actually able to service the entire country. We're flying all the way out to California, Texas, Chicago, where all our technicians and engineers spread out to. So in closing, we're proud of where we started, and even more excited of where we're going. So we thank everybody here for this huge opportunity. And yeah, thank you.
All right, the Chamber joins with Eastern Bank in extending congratulations to both of these businesses, to all our members, and for their business success. All right, thank you, Governor, and all of you who have participated today. We hope to see many of you at the future Chamber programs throughout the next month. Please see our Chamber Action Report update for more details. Don't forget about the Rocks, not this weekend, the following weekend for the kickoff. And now I want to just say thank you to a few people who made this possible. Eastern Bank, our awards committee and recipients, the Governor of Massachusetts, Maura Healey, the Enterprise News, Brockton Community Access, elected officials in attendance, board members and ambassadors in attendance, Chamber staff Hannah, Emma, and Chris, Rich Morgan Photography. Now I'd like to, in closing, draw your attention to the gift bags everyone will receive today. Each bag includes a gift bag from Dr. Ellie's Bookstore and Cafe. In addition, we have several door prizes, including gift cards and Brockton Rocks merch. The winners are as follows. Anchor Report Profile and a $25 Amex card, and that book is from Dr. Parrish's Bookstore. Michael Ricci, YMCA. And you can see Hannah at the door to get those prizes on your way out. golf balls from Eastern Bank and a book from Dr. Paris. Maria Samero, the bat. Golf balls from Eastern Bank and a book from Dr. Paris. Cynthia Pendergrass, Neighborhood Works. Rock's T-shirt and another book from Dr. Paris. Very generous, thank you. Mary Jo Lawless. Trinit. And last but not least, a basketball signed by Governor Healey and a book from Dr. Ellis Paris. Jenna Grell, I hope I have it right, Bloom. Thank you all. The winners are as follows. Well, the winners can be picked up from Hannah. Finally, lastly, we have table centerpieces in books courtesy of Dr. Paris. And to go with the reference of golf one more time. They're not here. So we can't give them away. My last line was going to be whoever's birthday is closest to the pin. And the pin was going to be today. Sorry, we can't help you. But thank you all for coming. Thank you for your support. And have a great weekend.